Hello world, welcome to the 50th anniversary of Earth Day in the world, and it started in 1970, April 22nd, and this is April 22nd, 2020, so this is the 50th Earth Day. This is the 72nd, number 72, climate change emergency protest. I'm doing it 2 days early in honor of Earth Day, and it's Wednesday, noon, 12 o'clock here in the East Coast. So, as I said, it's the 50th Earth Day. Every day, though, needs to be Earth Day, not just one day. We're in a situation with the Earth right now that if we continue on this path, we won't be on this path much longer. So we need to change our ways and, try to adjust to what the Earth is requiring. And that's being a lot more conscientious than what we are right now. Rachel Carson wrote Silent Spring in 1962, and she never really got to see its fruition and the effects of it before she died. And as I said, with the Earth Day, that was the fruition of Silent Spring. Made everyone aware of what was happening around the world and in the environment itself. It was a big influence for Earth Day itself. At the time, you had cars being tossed into rivers like garbage. You had automobiles, actually, being tossed into rivers like garbage. Garbage in the rivers. You had the Cuyahoga River in Cleveland at the time caught on fire due to all the chemicals in it. And you had, multiple issues going on, such as in Los Angeles, you had air pollution to the point that it was equal to smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. So it was not a good situation. You couldn't see beyond your face in some cities, and it was pretty bad. So the environmental movement came in, Environmental Protection Act, various acts came into play, and didn't make things perfect, but they sure cleaned things up. And that is a result of the conscientious effort of people reading Silent Spring, people talking, people protesting, hippies getting out. And the hippies today are now in their 60s and 70s, upper 50s, 60s, and 70s. And they're nowhere to be seen, basically, as far as protest goes. They lost their way. So I wish they'd get it back together and grow a pair and actually get out there and do something, but right now it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So around the world right this second, the CO2 level is 417 parts per million, 417. And the survival area is between 200 and 280 parts per million. That's where mankind has existed all along. So unless we get it down to 280, we're going to see these continual changes, whether it's slow moving or very fast moving. Right now, we're going to experience very quick moving changes in the environment, and I suspect by 2023, everyone will know someone who's profoundly affected by climate change. By 2026, we're all going to have trouble trying to survive at that point, in my estimation, give or take a couple years. But food insecurity is going to be a huge issue, along with the heat, drought, floods, pestilence, famine, diseases, you name it. Right now, we're in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, and it's an indication of where the world could go if you shut down the system, and that Los Angeles now, people can actually see buildings. It's an amazing thing that has happened that way, as horrible as the situation is. So when Rachel Carson wrote her book, people, as they are now, were putting chemicals out in the fields and killing everything in sight. So it's a battle against the insects. And what has happened, though, is the insects evolve, and then you have to up the ante, and then you have to do even more stronger insecticides, and more stronger. Meanwhile, things like Roundup and whatever are employed, and it ends up in your food system. And eventually you end up eating it, and that's not a good thing when you start eating poison. It's not good for your kids, can cause all sorts of weird things happening with physical physical illnesses, sorry, and then also mental illnesses. So it's not good that you put it into the food system. Also, in this neighborhood, for example, people put insecticides in their lawns or weed killer. So it kills all the bugs, all the insects, all the weeds, everything, and then you end up with a lawn that people don't use anyway because it's too poisonous. So you can't let your dog out. You can't have your kids play in the yard. So what's the point of it all? It looks good, but it's a show pony, and it really serves no purpose at that point. And it's very dangerous to have a lawn that's full of chemicals. So hopefully people wake up, but they're not. I mean, there are companies going around just touting how beautiful they make your lawn look, but in reality, they don't say how poisonous they make your lawn to be. So we dug up our whole lawn here, and you know, I have a small strip that I have to mow out front because that's basically the township's land. But anything that we own, we have dug up and put in plants and are growing a garden or have chickens on it. So, you know, we're trying to, you know, make the situation better by not mowing and polluting with our lawnmowers every week. But, you know, it's a losing battle basically in the United States. So the main thing is that the poison you put down ends up in the food that you have to eat, or it kills all life around you. And being Earth Day, you know, people need to wake up and realize what they're doing to the environment and to their own lawns. Now, with the DDT situation that Rachel Carson wrote about in 1962, it made the eggshells thinner, or made birds not have eggs at all. You had the insects disappearing, silent spring, the birds weren't available, weren't around, and the bald eagle almost went extinct. That's how bad the situation got by the end of the 1960s. It stayed in the system. It not only got into the system, it made it exponentially worse, like many times worse, as far as it amplified in the food and the animals it killed. So you might have 1 part per million in the water, and then that animal continues to eat the food within the water, and it just stays in the system, and he ingests it, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And if it's fish, for example, or it's big game, or even cows, then you end up having it as well. So you know, you end up adapting to it and you know, ingesting all that poison. So that's not a good situation. Now, as far as answers and solutions to anything, you know, I've been proposing wind turbines and solar panels, but in reality, that's not a good answer. Wind turbines last about 20 years, and they do extensive damage to the system as far as putting in cement and tearing up the trees around the wind turbines. It's a horrible situation. It's almost as bad as mountain topping with coal. And then you have solar panels, which few people know how they're made. I just recently found out it's made with very purified quartz that they have to mine, as well as anthracite type coal. So they combine the two to make the solar panels. Evidently, sand is not involved. I don't know. Maybe we have a chemist here or someone with a company that can say how solar panels are made. But evidently, it's made with quartz and coal, and all that requires mining, which does more damage to the land. So my latest kick now is to talk about the Tesla Tower, which you know, Tesla invented back in the 1930s or 20s, and it relies on the electromagnetic waves of the Earth. So electric waves and also the magnetic fields of the Earth. So you got xenic, I think they're called xenic surface waves, and maybe those things would work best because the Tesla Tower doesn't require any wires to hook up or anything like that. You can transmit freely over the airspace, and then you have a receptor on the other end that would take in the electricity. So theoretically, you could have every house with a receptor, every car with a receptor, and everything could run on electricity. In my mind, if it was safe to broadcast the electricity, then through the atmosphere, it might be well worth checking into. Also, the oceans. The oceans always have waves, always have currents and things like that, and had tides. So that might be worth looking into as far as generating electricity. What I'm saying is that the technology we have right now does not work to get us out of this situation. You can't rely on technology to get you out of the situation that technology got you into. So Tesla towers and ocean currents and waves probably is the best idea right now. So in honor of Earth Day, I would suggest that everyone try to at least go for a walk outside. If you can, if you have dirt around you or a path through the woods, maybe take that. And maybe hug a tree if you see a tree. If you have one on your lawn, or if you have one in the woods that you can hug or whatever, it's well worth it. It makes you feel better as far as a person goes. You have to experience nature by feeling the dirt under your feet. You don't have to take your shoes off, but being out in the woods makes you change a whole lot. Look up the clouds. If you go outside, you can look up the clouds or the clear sky today, and you know, realize how beautiful the earth is. The wind's blowing today, which is kind of cold here today because there's a polar outbreak due to the warm air pushing up from Siberia into the polar regions, making them 20 degrees Celsius higher than normal, which is crazy. And then down here, we're about 5 or 10 degrees off our pace. So even though it's windy out, it's kind of chilly, but if you understand what's happening in the environment, you would understand about climate change. So it's not a good situation in the Arctic, which causes us to have a bad situation down here. So my suggestion is you feel the earth, hug a tree, get out and experience everything, make the earth part of you in honor of Earth Day, and embrace it and make it become part of you. And then just don't make it for today, make it for the rest of your life. Every day should be Earth Day, and I hope everyone gets out and does their part as far as experiencing things. In the United States, people aren't driving cars for the most part, so that's a good thing. And it's a lot easier to get outside and walk now that you don't have to go to a job because of coronavirus. So my next talk will be on May 1st, and that'll be the 73rd Earth Day, and not Earth Day, 73rd Climate Change Emergency Protest, and that'll be next Friday, a week and a half from now. All right, see you later. Bye.